G'day folks, Rod here, welcome. Hope you're all doing well. Just while we're waiting for people to join us, if you could let us know where you are tuning in from, which part of the world you are in, and we will be getting underway shortly. And if you could let me know if the audio is good. I'm not sure that I played the right song there, Tracy. I had a really good one queued up and it was meant to go for 3.5 minutes, so slight technical difficulties. But welcome everyone, welcome. This is part two, of our painting clouds. So just go and adjust that camera 1 second. Okay, thank you all for joining me. Good morning and welcome. It's another beautiful day here in Sunshine Coast in Queensland. Hope you're all doing well. So today we're going to do part two of our painting clouds. So we're going to have a bit of fun. Last live stream we did the version of it in oils. This one here, little demo, and came out okay for a quick little demo. So today we're going to explore the same subject and we're going to look at it in oils. So no, we're not. We're going to look at it in acrylics. That was oils. So we're going to have a bit of fun. I'll show you how I approach painting clouds, and we'll explore the differences between the oil version and the acrylic version as well. But first, coffee. So welcome everyone. For those of you who don't know me, if it's your first time here, my name is Rod Moore. I'm the founder of the Learn to Paint Academy and the Moore Method of Painting. And I'll be talking you through that here today. And as we go, if it's your first time joining us, on the screen here I've just put up our web address where you can go and register for a free course at the Learn to Paint Academy. So go to www.learntopaint.info and check that out. It's a complete course. There's about 4 different painting demonstrations, and about 25,000 people have already been through it, so it's worth checking out. And I've just noticed on YouTube it's not displaying correctly, so it's www.learntopaint.info. And today we're going to give away 2 DVDs, one to somebody on YouTube, one to somebody on Facebook. So listen out for the question. I don't know what the question's going to be yet for you to answer, but I'm giving away this DVD. This is a little one we did. It's part of the Learn to Paint. It was called the Learn to Paint Club, but that's now part of the Learn to Paint Academy. A little Tuscany scene, and it comes with a little photo inside, so you can pull that out, and going to give that away to 2 lucky people today, YouTube and Facebook. So hopefully that's giving people time to come and join us, and you're all in. Let us know whereabouts you're joining from, where in the world you are. This is the photo we're going to work off, so I'll let you have a look at that while I just get myself organised. So today we're broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch and Periscope. So welcome to everybody joining us on all those different platforms. It's great to have you here. Okay, there we go. So if you're just joining us, let me know where you are. G'day John in Taiwan, welcome back mate. Tracy, welcome. I'll have to investigate what song I actually played, I'm not sure. Morning Yvonne, welcome. Good to see you all again. And just waiting for my YouTube to appear. All right, there we go. Quite a lot of moving parts in setting all this up, so I appreciate your patience just while I get it all underway. Barbara, good morning. Not sure where you are, Barbara, in the world, but welcome. Misty, howdy. I think you're in Texas. Gladys, thank you. Audio's all good. Good to see you again. Hi, Carolyn in Sydney. Welcome. Good to have you there or here. And alrighty, so this is the on the screen there now. You can see the photo that we used in our last live stream. And remember, we were just taking a cut of that. We were just slicing it down the middle and doing it more in a portrait style painting. So we're just taking part of that cloud because I thought it'd be too much cloud to do in one session. But looking at the photo, in that main cloud there, what you've got to identify is the fact that we've got darks, we've got midtones, we've got lights, so we need to build those into our painting here that we're going to do. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to paint on a 12 by 16 inch canvas, which is in a portrait format. We'll come back to that. And let's go down to our palette. Now, I've been playing around with the setup, trying to improve that. And I think the palette setup's a bit better than what it has been. So hopefully that'll be the case. Now, where is that? That's that one. Just move that out of the way. Pop those there. Let's get a bit of paint. Now, I'm going to use the Acrylic interactive paints. These are an acrylic brand paint, and they're a good quality artist quality paint. And we're going to also use a couple of mediums, which we don't normally do. Let me just make sure that's in the right spot for you there. Is that palette cam clearer than it has been? Let me know if you think it is. Okay. And I'll just put out some paint. So we've got some French ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson. Now the reason why I didn't put the paint out before we started was simply because it's acrylic. It would have been dry by the time I'd said g'day to you all. You're all a bit quiet to start off with, but I know you'll warm up as we go, as will I. Okay, so I've got French ultramarine blue, the permanent alizarin crimson, the yellow ochre, we need some titanium white. These are our base colours, so if you've been with us for a while, you'll know in the More method of painting, I talk about just using a limited palette, 3 colours, our primary colours here, and to that we'll add a couple of booster colours. I'll add some cadmium yellow light, and I'll add some cadmium red light, which is a scarlet. A scarlet colour would be the equivalent. Probably won't use those 2 booster colours much, I wouldn't think, but I'll pop them out there for the sake of the exercise. Now, here's what's most important though, besides coffee. Okay, be careful I don't do that again. G'day, Robert. Bob, welcome. Good to have you here, mate. And hi, Tracy. Hi, Catherine in Dublin. Welcome. Martin, thanks for joining us again, mate. Good to see you. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, because clouds do require a little bit of blending back and forward. So I've got a couple of different options. I'm going to use some medium for this today. You don't have to use medium, you can use water. Although if you use water, you need to concentrate and do it in a fairly timely manner. So because I'm going to be interacting with you guys, I'm going to use a medium. So liquefying medium is one option. Okay, so liquefying medium will make the paint flow a lot smoother. So that's when you'd use liquefying medium. Slow medium will actually slow down the drying process, which is probably no different from the retarder. Does the same thing basically. So if you ask me what's the difference between the slow medium and the retarder, I'd say probably just the name. I don't know that there is much difference between them. The manufacturers of paints and things, they love to create products to sell. So maybe all 3 of these. Well, the liquefying medium definitely makes the paint flow a lot smoother. So that is definitely an advantage. We may use that, but let's try with the retarder today. Okay. So the retarder will be what we'll use in the clouds to help us just have a bit more time to work into it. Hi, Adrienne and Jacques. Jacques, is it? In Missouri. Welcome. Good to have you here for our part 2 of our painting clouds. Today we are doing the acrylic version. Okay, and I'll show you the version we did last time in a moment. G'day, Richard. Hope you're doing well, mate. Heading into autumn and winter down there. Let me show you the version we did in our last live stream for those who maybe haven't caught up. Where are we? There we are. Okay. So this is what we did, little demo of painting clouds. So you can see that I've concentrated just on this one main cloud, and really we're talking about in the darks, the midtones and the light values in. So we go back to our image, you can see that sort of almost in the center there, slightly to the right, is the main cloud that we are going to focus on. So a good idea somebody mentioned on the last live stream was to grab your mobile phone or your iPad, take a photo of that image on the screen there, so you've got a reference to play around with as well. So yeah, yes, we are doing acrylic today, Misty. Yay! But you know, we do acrylic and water mixable oils in almost the exact same fashion. Not a lot of difference between them. Okay, so let us get underway. I am going to pop a little bit of this retarder on my palette here. It's quite fluid, and my palette's just on a slight angle, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully that'll be okay, and it'll all work out. Okay, now I just got to be careful I don't walk in front of that camera. So. Hey Janet, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Okay, so I need a brush. I'm going to use big hog hair brush, 1-inch brush, like so. I'm going to start off with, let's get a little basic drawing, and I think that would be a good idea. I'll start off with a small brush. Get a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the red. Okay. A little touch of the water. And looking at the photo, I think we said last time it was around about 1/3 of it was the water. Okay, so we'll just run that water in something like so. And then about 1/3 was going to be the clouds. And that main cloud came up. Now we're not going to do it exactly the same, but we'll do it roughly the same. There's the underneath, the dark part of the cloud, and then we're going to have another one there. And we talked a lot about making sure that we didn't have 3 shapes that were the same. And most importantly, we talked about the key to painting anything, realism in anything, is of course having 3 values in there: a dark, a light, and a medium or a mid-tone. Misty's all painting done. Misty, you might surprise yourself, and anyone else watching in, you might surprise yourself if you got the water mixable oils and utilised almost exactly the same process as we're going to do today with the acrylics, and just give it a go. And you might find that the water mixable oils perform in a fairly similar kind of manner. You might find that, but you'd have to have a go to find out. Okay, so I'll pop that brush away. So I'll come back to my big brush here. Get that in the right spot there. There we go. And I'll take a little bit of this retarder. You may not be able to see it, but there's a little puddle there. And we'll get some of this blue. Now remember, the acrylics are going to dry darker. Okay, so we need to just lighten everything back a step or two. So try that. And what I'm going to do is just get those corners in. Now I'm quite zoomed in here today, so it's possible that I may end up in front of the camera. If I do, I apologise in advance for that. So this is a fairly cheap canvas, and it's quite thirsty. It's a bit of a bugger actually. I probably won't buy these ones again. It's amazing how, like, you buy a brand, especially brands that are of average quality, let's call them. They're not professional quality, but for doing demos, you don't want to spend a fortune on canvases. So I buy what I term a mid value. So it's not a real cheap student one, but it's not professional quality either. And it's amazing how they can change over a course of a year or two, because the costs of creating them go up and so on. So the quality of the material can can go down. So, g'day, Deborah Sue. Deborah Sue, I haven't replied to your email, but congratulations on running your first art class. For those who don't know Deborah Sue, she's enrolled in our More Certified Instructor program, and I think on the weekend ran a very successful art class. So well done to you. The photos look great. I did get your email, just haven't had a chance to reply. I'll be going through all my emails today to reply, and well done. You're underway, which is exciting. Okay, let's just get a bit more of this blue in here. Notice I'm lightening the value as I come down. And I've got the retarder in there. And what I'll do is pull a little bit of that paint out there. Just a bit of paper towel. And so is the new palette set up better? I think it is. It should be. Okay, so I'm just going to do a rough little sky in there. Blend that lighter value into that slightly darker value. That'll all dry darker anyway. Get that in. Okay. Now, let us now move into the dark side of the clouds there. Okay, so we want the dark side, which is going to be underneath here and in this section of these clouds. Light's coming from in that direction. Okay, so remember last time we put the dark side in here. So first thing we need then is a dark. So we need that ultramarine blue, the permanent alizarin crimson, and a little touch of the yellow ochre. Stop it being too purple. Now when we mix it up, we look at that, and what do you think about that as a colour, as a mix? Is that right, or is it not right? There's a slight delay, so I'll push on, but just tell me whether you think that is a good colour or not for the dark side of our clouds. I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are. Okay. To me, it's too brown, which means that there's too much red and yellow, not enough blue in there. So I'll take a little bit more blue. And I want it to be slightly on the blue side. I want it to be cooler than warmer. So it's getting closer. A bit more blue in there. And getting close, we'll add a little touch of the white in, just because when you mix blue and red, you really need the white in there just to see what your mix is, what it's really looking like. So just a bit cooler again. So we're going to have a warm light coming in. So the highlights will be warm, but we want to have the shadow side just to be a little bit cooler. So a little touch more blue perhaps. There it goes. Now you can see it's going to a cool dark, right? And if we now introduce a bit of white into that, because remember it's going to dry darker. That's probably a pleasing tone right there. Have a look at the photo. Yep. Now, take a little bit of this retarder, pop that in, okay, into that mix. It won't change the colour or the value or anything. It'll dry clear, but what it will do is help us to have a bit more time to work into it. So I'm just going to run it underneath those clouds. I think that's reasonable. We might adjust it a little bit there. Notice that I'm scrubbing. I'm just using, we'll have a look how the brushes bend the hairs there. Maybe I'll do it down here. See that there? The reason why it's doing that is because I'm just using it on the side. I'm holding the brush at the end and I'm just scrubbing the paint in there like that. Okay, and I'll just connect it up into that blue a little, not everywhere, but here and there. Okay, good. Okay, needs to be lighter, it needs to be blue-grey, yep, correct, Deborah Sue, I agree. You like it now, like that colour. Darken the blue, darker value of the sky. Okay, yeah, I think it's probably a touch, it's pretty dark there now, but as I blend into it, I think we should be right. Not a good colour, says Yvonne. Yep, agreed. So hopefully you could see that it was too brown, which would meant too much red and yellow. So basically, if you mix a red and yellow, you get orange. When you add blue into it, it starts to go towards brown. It didn't have enough blue in it, but now it has. So hopefully you can see that. It's a more pleasing colour. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take more white, and I'm going to mix the white on one edge here. I want to maintain my original colour so I can compare. Okay, but I will just pinch a bit of it. Now, how is that looking? That's probably a pretty good mid-tone, I think. Get a bit more retarder into that. I've got a fair bit of paint on the brush here. I'm just going to bring that in here. Okay. And I think when I blend those together, that's probably going to work. Now that mid-tone now needs to, I'll just lighten the mid-tone just another step back. And perhaps cool it just a little with a touch more blue. Okay, like so. You can see how that's cooler there than that mid-tone there, which is a little bit warmer. Okay, so if I cool it off, and is that light enough? Yeah, actually, maybe a touch lighter. I'm going to go a touch lighter because this is right down at the horizon here now. This is our horizon for the water. Okay, a little bit of that warmer tone coming through. Okay, so we just put that paint along the horizon, and then I'll just work it up to those darker patches. Now, of course, as I clip into that dark, it's going to pick up some dark on the brush, which is okay. I'll just move it around into different spots where I want it. And if I now dry this brush off, just pull some paint out of it with a paper towel, I can G'day John, a hair lighter still you think? Yeah, possibly. Although when I compared our oil painting to the photo, it's a little bit deceptive, the photo, when you look at it on the screen like that. But I was actually a little bit light overall, but compared to the photo from last time. Okay, so now notice I can just feather those edges together there. So it's a little bit deceptive because you're comparing it at the moment to possibly the white canvas. So I found that when I reviewed what I did after the live stream, that we were a little light overall by comparison with the photo, which surprised me actually. If anything, I think I've got a tendency to go a touch dark. So today I am going a little bit darker than maybe what I might naturally think it would be. Let's get some mid-tone happening in here. Oh, actually, we probably need a little bit of highlight in there. Okay. Now I'm just going to be careful I don't lose those darks. I'm always telling on our Learn to Paint TV that you've got to be careful of painting out your darks. So that retarder is actually very good, isn't it? It's keeping that acrylic paint, which normally dries pretty quick here because it gets warm here under the lights. I've got about 5 lights to light this up so you guys can see properly. So normally acrylics dry out pretty quick. That retarder's working well. Okay, next step. I'm gonna switch brushes now. So I'm gonna put that big brush to one side. I'm gonna take a smaller brush, okay, like so. another hog hair brush or bristle brush. Take some of this titanium white, pop that there. We'll take some yellow ochre, which is the colour of the sun. Mix those two together, get a touch more in there. Okay, I want to get this brush pretty well loaded up. See that? Hopefully you can see that. I know it's against a white palette, but I'm just going to put a little touch of retarder in there for a start. So we've got time to, and then that's pretty yellow, but when I start to blend that, it'll tone that down a bit, I suspect. Where else do we have? Down in through there. Okay. So it definitely is slightly different from when we did the oil version. And I'm a little bit concerned that I may have got too much retarder up there. Just a little bit concerned. Because it feels quite wet at the moment. I had thought it would dry up a little bit more than what it has, but that's okay. We'll see how we go. So I'm just going to use the brush, again, just scrubbing the side. I'm going to just work on that transition area there. Okay. Now notice I've got round, doing exactly what I tell people not to do. So I'll just pull some of that up and out, just feather that edge. I don't want that to be a focal point, so I'm okay if that whole highlight is blurred out, you know, so it's not in focus so much. Okay, this is going to be our main highlights. I want to get the brush nice and dry and just on that edge, pull some of that around. And then what I'm doing is I'm cleaning as I go. You can't see it, it's off camera, so I've pointed out to you. Just pulling that paint out and making sure that I don't have the brush too dirty by that dark or that mid tone. Break that line a little. Something a little bit rounded about this one, and I think it's because I put that dark in there. So I just have a feeling that I'm going to just push through that dark. Just open that up a little bit more. I think that's better. How's it looking so far, do you think? Are we on track? Are we on track? Hi Marie, how are you in Alabama? Welcome. Let me know what you think. Are we on track? John, that's a good question. John has asked, chemically speaking, what is the retarder? Is it toxic? I'm hoping it's not toxic, mate, because I'm trying to avoid all toxic. Let me have a look. I haven't got my glasses on. I'll have to get back to you on that. But retarder is a paint additive, and I can't read it properly without my glasses. I'll have to. I'll mention that on the Friday coffee with Rod, and where we answer all your questions, John. I'll try and look up the answer for that session. Deborah Sue says we are on track. Awesome. Wolfcat, g'day, Wolfcat in the UK. Welcome. Geordie, thank you so much for sharing. My pleasure, Geordie. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Deborah Sue saying it's not toxic. Good to hear. Absolutely, you can, Wolfcat, mix a huge variety of colours just with your 3 primary colours. So I use yellow ochre. I'm not sure if that's what you meant. You've put yellow oxide, but maybe you've decided to try something different. But the yellow ochre is a good earthy tone if you're doing landscapes and seascapes and things. Okay, so see what I'm doing there? I'm talking and not explaining. Bad teacher. I'm breaking that rounded edge, and the way I'm doing that is just pushing up into the blue, like so. Getting a little bit more variety in those edges. Edges are so important, shapes and edges. And they're so overlooked by so many painters, you know, like when you're starting out, you don't think shapes and edges. It's the last thing on your mind. Colour mixing is usually what's on your mind. How do I get that colour? Why am I mixing mud, right? They're usually the concerns that we have when we're starting out. But shape, placement of shape and getting the right shape and not repeating shapes and so on is such a vital part of good painting that we need to pay more attention to it, I think. I need to clean my brush. So I'm just to give you a bit of an update on give you a bit of an update on where we're going. I've just about got our Advanced Impressionist Painting course, the first episode. So I'm going to release an episode each month. And each episode will go for, well, I think the first one, which is a seascape painting I did of Burley Heads. That one is going to go for about 3 hours, I guess. So they'll go somewhere between 2.5 to 4 or 5 hours. And it's just where I slow the whole process down and do a more considered, larger work. And it's designed for those who are, been painting for a while and are a little bit advanced and looking for more of a challenge. So what I'm going to do basically is release one project per month for about 6 months, probably 6 months, I'd say. And the first episode will be released in the next day or two. So look out for that. If you're looking for something a bit more advanced, then I think this will suit you. So if you're a monthly member of the Learn to Paint Academy or a life member, then thank you. You'll be obviously getting that as part of your membership. Or you'll be able to buy it individually if you prefer just to buy that one course. So you'll be able to buy the individual episodes or buy the whole lot, the whole 6 of them. But you'll just have to be patient for them to all come out over the next 6 months. Be something to look forward to, though. I'll show you the first episode in a second. Okay, now, see I've got all this dark in through here. I'm just going to break that line a little bit with just some mid-tone, just to vary it a little. Okay, and even like in this big patch of dark in here, a little bit of lighter value in there just to break it up a little. Otherwise, you don't want big blocks of colour. They become boring. And just watch out for any hard edges and things. Okay. So, hopefully we are going well. Cat poo are heaven for dogs. Okay. You guys are having your own conversation there. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Deborah's asking, is that in the tools to teach? You will be able to teach those advanced projects, Deborah Sue. Although, you'd want to make sure you're teaching it to advanced students. So it'll be far more complex than our usual projects. You like how it's looking, John? Good. Okay. How are we doing on Facebook? Looks great. Thank you, Tracy. Thanks, Yvonne. I think we're getting there. I'll give you have a look at the photo in more detail. I'll go and get last week's. Okay. Alrighty, so I've got last week's version, this one. Let me see if I can pop them up side by side. Now there's going to be slight colour differences and so on in them, but they're pretty close. There's a few little things. I think probably the one thing that the acrylic version that we're working on now is that it just needs a little bit more highlight, and a little bit punchier highlights here and there. So I'll pop those in, but it's fairly close. One thing I have done though is I've painted this in a bit too big. It was a bit smaller and I had this higher. So maybe I need to just extend that out there. So we'll work on that for a few minutes. How are we going with time-wise? We've still got 20 minutes to go, so not a problem. I'll pop that up back there. Alrighty. So, feel free to ask any questions, guys, as we go. You know, I'm here to help you. That's why we're here. That is why we are here. Almost dipped my brush in my coffee. That would be disaster. Okay, so I'll get more white. Get a little bit more of that yellow ochre in there. I'll go just slightly lighter for this highlight. And let me... Oh, no, I won't. I'll get back to that yellow. It's just too white. So you can see it's a process of just really just massaging it back and forward, darks and lights, isn't it? Really, I think that's all painting is at the end of the day. As a representational approach, it's just a matter of just massaging darks and lights until we get something that we're happy with, that approximate what we're after. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to switch focus ever so slightly. I'm not going to put a lot of thought or effort into this. But just for the sake of context, we'll get some blue, we'll get some yellow, we'll get a little touch of the retarder in there. Too much yellow, so we'll add more blue. Okay. Now I have to say the acrylics just go a little bit murky, a little bit flat with some mixes. I mean, it is probably an off green like this anyway, but whereas the oils, the water mixable oils in particular, they tend to hold their colour a bit more, I feel. Okay, now one thing I recommend you don't do, some people hate it when I say this, but don't use masking tape for your horizon. Even if you make a mistake like that, it doesn't matter, you can fix that. But masking taped horizons, I think, just look like they've been taped off. That's just a personal preference. But I think there's value in learning sufficient skills and making mistakes like I just did then. There's definitely value in learning how to see it and put it down. So I can let that just dry off ever so slightly and then just come back in with that mid-tone, or I can just use my finger brush and just soften that out. Okay, and we just have a bit of a hazy horizon there. Pick up a little bit of that mid-tone value again. There's a little bit of water in the brush, so soften out that edge through there. So yeah, the problem if you put masking tape down for your horizon, I just think it shows, you know, like it makes the horizon line too hard an edge, and then you're too scared to then come and manipulate it or adjust it. I'll throw a little bit of cad yellow in there. Now, probably some of you may use masking tape. And look, if it works for you, that's fine, and you don't mind the hardness of the edge that tends to happen. I'm not here to upset anybody and tell you not to do something. I don't think there's any absolutes or any right way in painting necessarily. It's all just a means to an end at the end of the day. So you're going to do what works for you. So get in that water. Could have a better transition between the darker blue and the green, of course, but I'm not going to fuss too much with it because it's not the purpose of our coming together here today. A bit of blue in there. And g'day Martin in Ireland, how are you? Looks great. How would you approach painting rain? Maybe a shower from one of those distant clouds? Well, okay, yeah, let's pop in a little bit of rain. We get a lot of rain in Ireland, yes, I imagine you do. We get a lot of rain here as well. It tends to be a little bit more on the tropical side, but yeah, like I'll pop in a little bit of rain. And to be honest, I don't really paint rain that much. I tend to prefer happier, sunnier days, but I can certainly understand if you are in an area where, oh, look how red that is. That's because I'm talking, not concentrating. Yeah, if you're in an area where you get a bit of rain, then it makes sense to want to paint some of that in. So I'm just putting in a darker value here for sand. That is really red. I don't think that's what we want. We'll lighten it off. We'll just get a bit of variety in there. There we go. It's a jolly good question though, Martin. Thank you for asking it. And let's have a little bit of a look at it in a sec. Okay. So please understand that I know that's too red. And it needs adjusting, but I'm not going to adjust it too much because this is a quick little demo about clouds. There's our dry sand. Okay, so we need a question for our winners of our DVDs. Right, so we're going to have a winner on YouTube and a winner on Facebook at the end of our live stream here. And I want to give away the DVD. Here's the DVD, Painting in Tuscany Farmhouse, right? So I want to give those one away on YouTube, one away on Facebook. If you've won a prize in recent times, like in the last 2 to 3 months, then please, we want to try and make sure everyone wins a prize. So maybe hold off answering. But okay, so the question's going to be, I've been talking about painting clouds, and I've said that the dark, mid-tone and light's important to painting cloud. What are 2 other things that are important to painting clouds to get them to look realistic? 2 other things, okay? So you can answer now. And I shall, the first correct answer. So I've got 2 specific things. I've mentioned them before, so hopefully you were listening. Hi Betty, how are you, doll? Hi Rod, is there a reason why you did a scrubbing stroke for the scry and how you were doing long strokes? No particular reason, Betty. Yeah, it's just something that's developed over time, and I find, I could just, you've probably seen Bob Ross where they do those crosses and so on, or I could just do that way, but I think the scrubbing motion, I think, puts the paint down in an interesting way where it has a bit more life and movement, I think. But maybe I'm wrong about that, I don't know. It's something I've developed over time, but I don't have actually a correct answer or a good answer for that, I'm afraid, Betty. How about we have a go with this one? Paint scraper. We've just finished up a course, loose, bold and expressionistic. And we're using different tools and things. So I just loaded up the edge with some paint. And now we've got our big cloud right in the middle there, so we don't want to have our, the breaking wave right underneath it. We want to have it sort of off center there. That's a quick little painting, quick little wave if ever I've seen one. Okay, a little touch out the back. I was just going for a speedy way of getting that in, which I think we achieved. Martin, I think that's a good answer. That's not what I mentioned earlier though. I mentioned something about this. Two things. Yeah, I think your answer is probably technically correct and important, but it wasn't what I mentioned earlier. So to be fair to everyone, I think we'll have to go with what I mentioned earlier. I'll just soften underneath that a little bit just along there. So there's a little bit of a beach scene there. Probably wants just a touch of more yellow as it comes into the shallows here. Okay, so how would I do rain? I think to do the rain, I would go back to my darkest value in the sky. So I'll give this brush a clean. Okay. Give that brush a clean. Pick up that blue. Pick up our red. And pick up some yellow ochre. So that's why I always say it's a good idea to not over mix your mixes. Always mix the edge, and I've gone and broken that rule, so now I don't quite know exactly what that tone was, because as that's drying up on the board there, remember it's drying just ever so slightly darker. So let me come here. That's not bad. I'll go a bit cooler. So basically I'd mix up the same tone as our darkest dark there. And then I just load the tip of the brush, okay? So you've got a clean brush, load the tip of it, and notice I've got a light patch in here. Great spot to put rain. And I just, so this is rain off in a distance. If what you're referring to was rain that was, like in the foreground, then we'll have to do that as another demo, I think, but just getting a little bit of horizon rain coming out of the bottom of that cloud there. Okay. And we're going over here. Okay. Just going back through the comments here on good point, Wolfcat. Masking tape on the horizon gives the flat earthers more ammo for their... John's asked, when you look at a horizon, it is not straight due to ripples in the water. Yeah, very true. It's usually hazy, although we tend to paint hard lines. Gladys, I think it also takes a keen eye and experience to be able to stand back and know what needs changing. That's very true, Gladys. Experience, absolutely. I'd advise to do a colour chart with various mixes. Okay, Wolfcat's giving her own course. I agree, I don't like white and black. Black and white dumbs colour in my experience. Okay, you guys are having a conversation there which I'm having trouble just catching up with. Clouds and mountains. Okay, so I haven't seen anyone with the correct answer on YouTube or Facebook yet. So, still got a little bit of time. Let's just put a little bit more cloud in there. I'll go a little cooler. Sorry, a little bit more rain. Now, it is starting to dry off now. But the key is to soften that back in. I don't want that to be too hard. Okay, so I'd do something like that for the rain, off in the distance, Martin. Anyone else who's interested in rain? Just put a little bit of a lighter tone here and there. So now if you were referring to rain that's more, more in the foreground, then I think we probably need to look at that as another demo. But certainly I think it would make a good one. Okay. The question, Tracy, is what are the two things that help to make clouds look realistic, or anything for that matter? And I've mentioned it's not, we need to obviously have a mid-tone, and a light to make anything have form. But what were the other two things that I mentioned? And they're pretty important things, and I mentioned the fact that we don't pay enough attention to them. As beginners, when we're starting out, we're not focused on these two things. We're more focused on colour and mixing and how do I hold the brush, things like that, which are obviously important. But these two things, when you focus on them, they can greatly improve your painting. Greatly improve it. So, we've got a couple more minutes. I think that's come up okay. I'm reasonably happy with it. I think it's going to dry a little bit darker than maybe what I'd like. Let me just, excuse my bald head there. There's the oil version. So the water's a little bit different. The sand, I've made it a bit too warm, but that's okay. Both of them are workable. Now, that's a quick demo. So obviously, if you're doing it as a painting, you're going to spend a bit more time with it and take a bit more care and so on. If you're joining us for the first time, go and check out our free course, which you'll find at www.learntopaint.info. You can register for the free course there, and we do 4 or 5 demos, go through the Moore method of painting in more detail for you, and show you how you can start painting different elements and aspects of a painting. I think it's come up okay. A little bit more work. Now, this is still quite wet. Well, it's starting to dry now. So that retarder gives you about 30 or 40 minutes. You can, let me just see, I've got a little bit of paint on my finger from doing that. So it gives you probably 30 or 40 minutes, the retarder, which is plenty of time if you're focused and concentrating on what you're doing, to blend clouds in just nicely. Alrighty, let me have a quick look here on, we might have to carry this question forward into, Robert Schmidt on YouTube has got the correct answer. Robert, well done. His answer is shape and edges, right? So, congratulations, Robert. Now, to claim your prize, the DVD, I need to post it to you. So you need to go to our support desk. Okay, you can do that at www.learntopaint.online/support, or go to the Learn to Paint Academy, and there's a little icon in the bottom right hand corner. Okay, so go to our support desk and message through to support your name and address, and say that you've won the DVD on the live stream, and we'll get that out to you. So congratulations, Robert. Okay. Yeah, Caroline, you were correct as well. I just think Robert got in just before you. Misty, no, tone, kinda, yeah. John said shading and blending, but that's not quite what I was after. I was after the shape, the overall shapes, making sure we don't repeat them. Remember, we talked about that in the last live stream, how in our unconscious minds, we learn to paint things or draw things in a certain way. So the overall shape, and then those edges, just breaking the edges so we don't have rounded shapes, like those edges, and we need to have soft edges and hard edges. In clouds, you probably don't have too many hard edges. I wouldn't have thought, right? So yeah, shape and edges. So well done, Robert. Now over on our Facebook, Yvonne saying clouds look good. Thank you, Yvonne. John, preparing for a test class. Oh, good on you, John. Hope that goes well, mate. Good work. And Tracy, no sharp edges and no round balls. Oh, you're so close, Tracy. Have another go. Because I've just said it. So have another go. Quick. Got a couple of minutes. Make sure you write down that address, www.learntopaint.info, and register for the free course, right? You'll love it. Go through the Moore method of painting, why I only use 3 colors in the palette, 3 brushes. We go through 3 steps, and there's 4 painting demonstrations there for you. So go and register. All right, got 1 minute left. Is somebody on Facebook going to get the answer right? Let me refresh. We've got Robert Schmidt, the winner on YouTube. Congratulations, Robert. Okay, just scrolling down. I can't see anybody on Facebook who's got the right answer. Tracy was very, very close, but not the answer I was looking for. So we're going to wrap up. So a couple of things. Friday morning, we're going to do our Friday morning coffee chat, and ask me any questions you want about learning to paint or being a professional artist, or running an art teaching business. Any questions you've got around that. Shapes and edges, Yvonne, congratulations. 100% correct. I mean, I was just saying it a few minutes ago, so it was a no-brainer, really. So Yvonne, message me. Don't message me through my Rodmore Art. Go to our support desk, because I miss some of those messages. Don't email me. Go to the support desk for Learn to Paint Academy, and just shoot your details through there. But congratulations. So we've got Robert Schmidt and Yvonne First are our winners. Congratulations, guys. So Friday morning is our Friday morning coffee chat, Q&A. Ask me anything about being an artist or learning to paint or being an art teacher, anything like that. Happy to help in that, and I enjoy having that interaction with you. And in a couple of days' time, look out for the Advanced Impressionism episode 1. For those who don't know what we're covering in that, this is the very first painting from that. It's burly heads done in water mixable oils, but you could do it in acrylics as well. That's going to be the very first project for that new course. Look out for that. And I'll see you all very soon, in live stream soon, hopefully, or in the Learn to Paint Academy. Cheers for now.